Have you ever had one of those days where you feel totally on fire, just sharp and making all the right calls? And then other days where, well, you just can't seem to make a good choice to save your life? The answer might be a lot closer than you think. In fact, it's probably sitting right there on your plate. We're about to dive into the incredible and honestly often ignored link between what you eat and how you think. We get told this all the time, right? Just try harder, have more willpower. But what if willpower isn't just about your character? What if it's deeply, deeply connected to your biology? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. It's easy to think of our thoughts as, well, just thoughts. Kind of floating in abstract, right? A product of our logic or personality, totally separate from our bodies. But the reality, the biological truth, is that every single thought is a physical, chemical event happening inside living, breathing tissue. And getting that, well, that's the first huge step. And this brings us right to our first big idea. Thinking is a physical act. It's not some kind of magic, it's mechanics. And guess what? Those mechanics are fueled by the food you eat. Think about it. Every single thought you have, from deciding what to wear to solving a huge problem at work, depends on a few critical things. How well your neurons are talking to each other, how stable your emotions are, how much gas is in your brain's tank, and how much static is interfering with the signal. And the one thing that touches all of those? Yeah, it's the biochemicals from your food. Here's a cool way to picture it. Your brain isn't a solo artist. It's a full orchestra. You've got sections for memory, emotion, logic, the whole shebang. For you to make a really good decision, that entire orchestra needs to be perfectly in tune. And your food? It's the person tuning every single instrument. Okay, so if food is what tunes the orchestra, let's talk about the fuel. Your brain is an incredibly hungry, energy-guzzling organ. And the quality of the fuel you give it has immediate, and I mean immediate, consequences for your choices. I mean, just look at this number. It's kind of wild, right? This little organ, just 2% of your body's weight, is burning through a fifth of all your energy. Complex thinking, making tough decisions, that's one of the most metabolically expensive things you can do. So yeah, the quality of that energy matters. A lot. And this is exactly what happens when that energy supply goes haywire. It's like a domino effect. You eat something that sends your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Your brain feels the crash coming, panics a little, and flips into a low-power, energy-saving mode. And the result? You start making short-sighted, impulsive decisions because your brain is just trying to survive the moment. And this right here is so, so important. That moment you grabbed the second donut you didn't want or snapped at someone for no reason, that wasn't necessarily a failure of your character. It could have just been your brain's decision-making system under extreme metabolic pressure. It's a biological response, not a moral failing. So we've seen how food messes with your brain's energy, but the story doesn't stop there, not even close. Food also directly shapes your feelings, and it creates this emotional filter that every single one of your choices has to pass through. When your body is biochemically balanced and happy, your emotions are actually super useful. They're like data points that help guide you. But put your body under metabolic stress with the wrong foods, and your emotional centers can just go into overdrive. Suddenly, everything starts to feel like a threat. And that state of high alert, it literally biases your decisions in very specific, negative ways. You start avoiding risks, you make choices rooted in fear, and your thinking gets really rigid and stuck. You're not even responding to reality anymore. You're responding to a chemically distorted version of it. Okay, this brings us to what might be the central idea of this whole explainer. I want you to think of your brain as a radio. You're trying to tune in to a clear station. That's your rational thought. But certain foods can fill the airwaves with a ton of static. So, how do we get that crystal clear signal? Well, we aim for something called food coherence. It's actually a pretty simple idea. It just means choosing foods that give your brain the raw materials for stable energy and clear, precise communication between all its cells. And here it is, laid out side by side. Coherent, low-noise foods help turn down that internal static. They create calm and clarity. Incoherent foods, like a lot of ultra-processed stuff, do the exact opposite. They create metabolic chaos, which to your neurons sounds like a blaring wall of static. Honestly, it really just boils down to this. The more metabolic noise you have rattling around from your food, the harder it is to think clearly. The signal just gets completely lost in the static. So let's pull all of this together, because this isn't about one bad meal or one off day. It's about something much bigger. It's about the fact that you are actively, physically constructing your decision-making organ with every single bite you take. Remember those three big filters we talked about? Your energy level, your emotional balance, and the clarity of your brain's internal signals. Every choice you make, big or small, has to pass through them first. And food is quietly shaping all three all the time. So, if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. You don't make decisions in some abstract vacuum with just your mind. You decide with the physical, biological, living organ sitting in your skull right this very second. The very brain that your food has built. And that construction project, it's happening every single day, meal by meal. The quality of the building materials you provide determines the quality of the final structure. And that structure determines the quality of your thoughts. So the final question isn't really about willpower, is it? It's much more practical and way more powerful. Looking at your next meal, you just have to ask, what kind of brain are you going to choose to build today?